Hayden, I'm over here. Did you think I was in there? No, I'm pretending it's a nice balmy day here in Cleveland. Welcome to ByDesign. If you're watching this video, you probably have a ByDesign shoot coming up, so congratulations on that. I put this video together to help explain how to shoot the show, some of the equipment you're going to be needing to carry on you, and how to shoot these scenes that they do on the show here. So let's jump into the gear that you're going to need for this shoot. So first off here, it's a very one-man band show. You are going to have to really carry everything with you at all times. If you get a green room, that's fantastic. You can plug stuff in, charge stuff, put things down, but I've built this kit out so that you don't have to do any of that and you can carry it all on your person. I'm a huge fan of these cargo pants from, you just grab them from Target, and they're great because you can just have extra pockets, you can throw stuff in there, and they're very, very useful. So here's a couple of things I like to carry with me. Obviously, you're going to need your batteries for your FX3s. For your FX3, I've got 4 in total. So 3 here and then 1 in the camera body, right? And then arguably the star of the show, in my opinion, is this battery bank right here. Make sure it has 2 USB ports if you want to go USB-A, USB-C. I don't really care, as long as it gets the job done. You're going to need to pick up one of these, all right? And we'll get into that here in a minute. Also, if you have an FX3 in your kit, you're going to have one of these dual bank chargers that it can be powered via USB-C. This is a lifesaver right here because this allows you to power everything or to charge everything while you're on the go. 2 USB-C cables to, in my case, A, because that's what my battery bank is, but if yours is C, it can be C or whatever else you want. This one, just a regular length, kind of short USB-C cable, and that is for your dual bank charger right here. And then you need another one that's a bit longer. All right, so this is gonna be about, probably like a 5-foot cable, I'd say. Right, a little bit like this. And we'll get into the reasons for this here in a minute. All right. So you need those 2 USB-C cables with you at all times. Also, you guys should already be in the habit of carrying your lens cap around with you, so this shouldn't be anything new. But just to say that I said it, as well as the pouch for your variable ND. You're going to need that for when you take the ND off, right? You need somewhere safe to store this. Variable ND should never go in a pocket just by themselves. That's how they get damaged or broken. Okay, moving forward, we have also a lens wipe here as well. I think I left it in the house, but I like to use a lens puffer as well, just to kind of like spray off some dust off of the lens, as well as the lens wipe here. Good just to have it on you so you can always take care of any situation that your lens might need. And then lastly, we have right here is the headphones from the mixer, okay? Steal those off of there, and then you have some way better headphones than your little earbuds that you're using for your FX9 on a day-to-day basis. So I don't have the DJI audio kit with me, unfortunately. I think Silverman stole it, but that's okay. We forgive you, Silverman. But in all seriousness though, we're just gonna kind of pretend that I have the kit rigged up on here. So let's kind of talk about the camera rig right now. So I have a DJI RS3 Pro gimbal, and what this thing is kind of cool in that it allows me to control the camera via the handle down here. So I usually leave it on the ISO, so I can change that right here as I'm running around. You just need a USB-C cable from this top port right here, this RSS port, and it runs right into your USB-C port on your FX3. And you got camera control right there. Also, it will actually power your FX3. So instead of about 40, maybe 50 minutes on these, you get about 2 hours which is great. Makes your day go a little bit better. The downside is, of course, that your gimbal will die quicker. So we'll get into that remedy here in a second. Also, I have my tentacle mounted right underneath the camera, and that's going to an adapter all the way into the multi-port, so that when you switch from high speed to regular speed, it'll jam for you already, and you'll be good to go. I like to jam the camera just so that I have a time of day reference, and I think that helps the editors as well. And talking about the audio kit on the top here, you know, you've all seen Raj's video on that, I'm sure, but it's real easy. You just plug everything in. You're gonna mount the receivers to the cold shoe right here, and the other cold shoe right there. And I just nicely wrap the cables around the top of the handle there, and that seemed to work pretty well. All right, so let me show you how I like to carry this stuff here, and then we'll get into why this battery bank is so important. So typically I like to put all lens stuff in this bottom pocket right here, so it's easily accessible, okay? Your lens cap and the variable ND will go in the other front pocket right here. There you go. And so you'll take your dual bank charger. I'll just throw some batteries on there. That way they're always charged and topped off for us while we're running around. Plug it into your battery bank here. Put this actually in this pocket here. And then you're gonna take your really long USB-C cable, and you're gonna plug that right into the other port on your battery bank. All right. So, and these, when you don't have a mic pack in your pocket, will fit in your pocket pretty nicely. Cool. So we're all good to go there. This cable here is for charging the gimbal as you run around. So because you're charging the FX3 battery as you're filming, the gimbal will die quicker. So what I like to do is just go ahead and plug this cable right in the front, right here. And you just kind of keep it quickly accessible, right? And then now you're ready to shoot ByDesign. If you need to set this thing down, walk away from it for any reason, it's just a quick disconnect right there and you're ready to go. But you should be always powering the gimbal and the FX3 off whenever you're not using them, so you can save that battery, but this will help prolong your day as well. And I guess we should talk about, you know, you do have this one cable, and then we're gonna be having our headphones right like this. Plug it in right there, and you're all good to go. You're ready to go shoot ByDesign. Okay, so let's talk camera specs for shooting this show, right? The show is based in 2997 frame rate. It's a 1080p show, and then Rec 709. When you shoot B-roll, you should shoot the majority of it in high speed, 60 frames. I like to give them a little bit of variation so that you do have some high speed clips, and then you do have some regular speed clips. You can hear the sound of the waterfall or the relaxation, whatever that is, whatever it might be. So what you're gonna need to do when you do shoot this is you're gonna go over into mode, scroll down to slow and quick, boom, great. Now you need to change your shutter from 1/60 to 1/25, or 125, because this camera cannot do shutter angle. And then just adjust your variable ND and or your ISO accordingly. Fun fact for you, this camera in log has an unofficial base ISO of I think like 12,800. In 709, which is what we shoot this show in, your two base ISOs are 800 and 2000. So it's not the low light monster that it normally is when you're in S-Log. So something to be aware of while you're out shooting. I don't like to shoot above like, you know, probably, what is it, 6400? That's probably pushing it for me, but sometimes you get in those scenarios in this show. Location change. So as you can see here, we are in balmy South Bend, Indiana. We're forecasted to get some snow here tomorrow, I think 2 to 3 inches, so not a whole lot, but enough for Weather Channel to give us a call, so that's kind of fun. But you know, it's a smidge of cold up here. But we have this really cool historic building here I wanted to show you guys, kind of give you some inspiration for B-roll on how to shoot these things, and then I'll show you how I keep track of exposure on this FX3. It's a little bit different than the FX9 as far as like tools, right? So we'll kind of jump into that and give you an idea here, okay? So we're going to start here wide with our wonderful 16 to 35, which is the only lens I ever used for this show. So we're going to unlock this thing here. I'm just going to go ahead and roll so we have these clips and we can sync them up later. 9 times out of 10 on this show, I would shoot at an f4 just to make sure everything's in focus. There are a few instances I'll go down to a 3.5, or a little bit faster, but I try and stay at an f4 at a minimum. Yeah, you just roll your iris or roll your ND and your ISO to compensate for any situation that you might be in. So this building here, we're going to start at about 16. You know, we probably could get away with the 20 millimeter angle lens there. And what I like to do is under my function menu, I'm going to have my zebras, so I can change it because you only get one set of zebras on this camera. So for B-roll, I set it to 100 so that I know what's overexposed. All right. When I do walk and talks or anything with people, it's at 70%, so I know that my people are exposed properly. You only get one set of zebras on this camera, so that's how I operate that. I also use the histogram on here. Not my favorite exposure tool at all, but it's what we have on this camera, so I'm going to use it. And thirdly, I use the light meter on the camera. So I'm using the zebras so I know what's at 100%. I'm using the histogram so I have an idea of where my light values are falling, if they're too dark, too bright, that kind of thing. And then I use the light meter, which is right down here next to your iris. And right now it's at 0, 0. And if we make this shot a little bit brighter, there we go. You can see it's at, you know, plus 1.3, so we're overexposed. And the zebras, hey, why don't you come around here and see if you can shoot the screen, actually. You can see the zebras, these are showing 100%. So they're on the sky. So these zebras are on the sky, so we know the sky is blown out right now. You can actually see it on the histogram as well, we're blown out. All right, so we're gonna lower the ISO, excuse me, till we get an acceptable level. And right now I am using the zebras and the light meter to give me an approximate, or to give me an idea of what the exposure is. And we're gonna work within that, right? And I think we may have to live in compromised land for this shot because the building is getting a little dark for my liking. Oops, come on now. Because the building is getting a little dark for my liking. So we may just boost it. If we get rid of the 100% in the sky, I think the building is just a little bit too dark, so we get just a smidge of clipping. I think that's okay. We don't have this, as I turn the camera away from you, there you go. We don't have that, so we just have a little bit, come on now, there we go. A little bit up there in the sky. I think that's an acceptable compromise that we can do. So we're gonna turn our peaking back on, all right? And we're gonna do a nice tilt down for this shot. These always look nice. So we'll kind of start up here and see we got our clipping sky, so maybe that wasn't the best choice. But a good hold there. Cool, we're still here, so why don't we just get it from the ground up, right? Because maybe we weren't a fan of that sky, so we can grab this. And now look, the edit has both versions, you know? I like to hold for about 5 seconds, 5 record seconds post move, so you have a little bit of tail on that clip there so they have something to cut on, right? So there's our first shot, right? There's our wide, so we can go ahead and cut. And then let me show you this this quick menu I have here. So we pop into function menu here. So we've got our APS-C shooting right here. We can just turn that on. And now this is a 70mm lens at its tightest instead of 35, right? But back to the function menu, we've got this audio record level, your white balance, your frame rate, and then your slow and quick frame rate, picture profile, your peaking level. We got all this stuff here. This stuff I use on the daily for ByDesign because I need it. I need to be able to switch the intensity of the peaking. I need to be able to switch the zebras on the fly, and this is how I do it. Because once you're rolling, you can't actually get into the menu. The function menu is your only menu you have, so make sure to throw the stuff you need, and this is what I recommend in that menu. So one thing that's really important when you're moving from location to location, power down your camera, power down your gimbal, save some juice, right? And that way when you're ready to go, you've got power. All right, so we're gonna turn this thing on because I think I see a shot right up here. So right up on these steps, and we're gonna grab, probably, we'll be able to make use of some of this depth of this building. Yeah, I think that's kind of cool, right? We'll do another rotation to it. I think we'll use the different depths of the building here, and we'll just do another another pan over to it, right? So we're gonna start on the sky, or most of the sky, gonna roll. And look at me here, I'm rotating, right? And we let the gimbal do the work. Boom. See how that pillar lines on that rule of third line there? Hold it, and go back. And that's it, cut. So you notice how I was rotating with my hands, but also my ankles, my legs, right? So it's this whole motion. It dampens the movement, right? Instead of just doing this, right? It dampens the motion twice. So I'm rotating with my legs, and then we end it with my wrists, find where we want to land, and let her land, right? And hold, and you're good to go. All right, so I think the most important space in a hotel is going to be the hotel room. And the most important feature in that hotel room is going to be the view, going to be the window. That's why you book a room in, Hawaii, Alaska, downtown New York, right? If that's your thing, you want to be able to look out the window and say, wow, that's cool. Mike loves to do that on camera. Whoa, would you look at this? That's kind of one of his fun things. So when you walk into a space like this, we've already talked about, your job when you walk into a room is just spray it down, grab B-roll. That's what you're doing, but you're also looking around the space where you want to set up for these little interviews. I was gonna say walk and talks because sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But so in this space, Mike and whoever, or Tristan and whoever, they're figuring out what they're going to talk about. You're getting B-roll, and you're like, hey, there's a giant source of light right over there. Why don't I utilize that? So kind of be planning out where you want them to go. So probably what's going to happen is we'll say Mike and his one guest are going to be walking in here. Oh, look at this beautiful Holiday Inn, right? Look at the covers. They're imported from China. They're beautiful. Or whatever, right? Talking about the artwork, the table, whatever, right? So I think a good place for you to be for this shot is probably in front of the window, right? So if we come over here, look at this. They're going to be walking in from the front door. So I'm going to do a backtrack from there. And we're going to come back up here. This way we can show the entirety of the room. We can showcase what they're talking about, right? Sometimes they like you to add a little motion to the wides. So what I like to do, you get your shot lined up, you're happy, and you just kind of do a little bounce back and forth like that, right? Just real subtle, real subtle, right? You get your wides, you do it a couple of times, great. You need to be watching. The biggest thing I find myself running into is, oh shoot, now we got to do ISOs. What are the backgrounds for those ISOs? We've already established where our wide is, so we can't move it a whole lot. We can cheat all day long, but we can't like, oh, let's actually go over there by the nightstand and do it, right? So when you're in here, okay, so let's grab this guy's ISO right here. Let's say this is Mike, so we're grabbing that. Oh, that lamp not my favorite, right? It's pretty toasty and pretty yellow. So what if we either turn the lamp off or move it or cheat where Mike is? So he steps a little bit that way, right? And we're over here filming our tight, right? We're in Super 35 mode. And then, you know, we grab that a couple of times and then we do the same over here for the guest's ISO. And maybe it's the bed behind them. Maybe it's the lamp, right? We cheat it, we make it look the best that it can. As long as it will cut together, that's the name of the game. Now, one thing I think people can struggle with on these shoots is the window, right? Because we want to show this beautiful window. But what happens if you put your talent right here? What if Mike and the architect are right here chatting? You can probably see this shot looks pretty terrible. You can't expose for the face and the background at the same time, right? So let's move back over here real quick so it's not as rough of a shot. You know, you have, I like to call it the exposure waterfall, right? Think of a waterfall, you have your brightest bright at the one end here, you have the water falling down, you have your brights and your darks right here. Now your camera is a bucket, but your camera is only about this wide, your bucket's only about this wide, and the waterfall is this big, and you have to, how do you do that, right? You have to live in compromise land. You have to figure out what's the most important thing in the scene and then capture that, right? So is it the highlights or the darks or the mids or whatever, right? In this scene back here, let's go back over here, Hayden. What's most important, the view or the people? Both. So we don't want to be in this situation. This is a bad situation to be in. So what I like to do for these scenes is do a reverse wide. What I like to do for these scenes is do a reverse wide, and that way our only thing we care about is the view. So what I'll do, I'll actually come over here. We've already shot our wide, we've shot our ISOs, we're all hunky-dory, we're all good, right? But we're over here now, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put Mike and the talent in silhouette. So I'm going to roll my iris, I'm gonna stop down, I know how to run a camera, I promise. I'm gonna roll my ND and stop down my iris to get the room and the talent in silhouette. And then that way we can see out the window and we can see our beautiful view. Let me show you this view real quick. Sorry, Hayden, I'm moving you all around. We have our wonderful view of our running track and our telephone pole, just beautiful Indiana here. You gotta love it. So what I would do is probably put them in silhouette right here, and now we can see out this view. Cool, mission accomplished. So you have to think, what's the most important thing in the scene? Well, the view. So we're gonna make that happen. And that way you have coverage of your entire scene now. You've got your wide, you've got them walking in, you've got your ISOs, you've got your reverse wide. If you wanted to get a super wide, if the room was bigger or something, you totally could. So let me give you some ideas when filming B-roll for these rooms here. So we have this very fancy lamp that we have right here, but we could do a little bit of set deck, right, on this. So this remote's a little askew, so we could kind of do a little bit there, you know, tidy up the cables, right? Maybe we'll square that up a bit. And just kind of give it a once over, make sure we're happy with it, make sure it looks good, because I then proceed to undo it. Cool, so now what we can do is grab a nice shot of this lamp, right? So one thing I would probably do is get down low, right? And we're gonna go like this here. I've already pulled a white balance off of these lamps here, so we're not so orange. And what I find when doing like an arc off of something, the angle and usually looks really, really nice. So what you can do here is you can start, I'm just gonna go ahead and roll, and you can start kind of over here on the wide, right? And that looks pretty nice. Get a nice arc here, and this one we can end nice and symmetrical. Great, lovely. Also, now we can go back the other way. I always like to get both directions because sometimes there's people walking, there's cars driving by. Not applicable for this shot, but it's just good practice to have. and you see how these two angles look together, the straight on versus the angled shot, I think the angled shot looks way better. And that's usually the case if you do like signs. Signs come in handy. A lot of things, if you come up to them on their side, that's usually a nicer angle. But we could do that shot there. You know, we could also do, you know, some tight detail shots of the remote, right? So we can grab this here, and again, we just do a simple arc. Let's get that exposure up a little bit. It's a little dark there. There we go. All right, you do a simple arc on the remote there. It looks nice. All right, it's all right. Not my favorite. Maybe to keep it from all looking the same, we could go with a tilt down, right? We just kind of start up here and land on the remote. I think that's probably a stronger shot. You know, in the edit, I would probably go with that. Maybe we could do this little ball right here. Could be fun. So what I like to do, you kind of hook the gimbal right here on your leg here, and then you lock it, and you can reset it to get the gimbal set for this shot here, right? So we can do a nice little detail on this little feature of the lamp. I think a cool one actually would be at the foot of this bed over here. And we do a nice little tilt up from the fabric there. Yeah, that looks nice. We kind of zoom out a bit. Perfect. Get it in focus. Probably play with our white balance a little bit because we got a lot of blue here. Kind of preview our shot here. Not bad. Tilt it down. Roll. And that's all there is to it. It'd be cool if we could do a rack focus from this to the lamp, but your shot's not going to be steady enough if you do that, if you try and pull focus, and it's not going to work out. Maybe if you have one of the autofocus lenses, you might get a little bit more lucky with it. But for me, I don't rack focus on shots because I can't get a reliably steady enough shot otherwise to do that. And that's kind of what you do, right? You find something that's cool, you know. One hotel had a really cool record player in it, and you know, you just capture the wide, then you find some details, find a way to place it in the scene and show it. By coming back here, we can see where it is in the room. Maybe do even a wider shot of the room. So these are just some ideas to give you some inspiration for when you go shoot B-roll for this show. Find the cool stuff, find the interesting stuff, and film it. And that's ByDesign. It's a very much one-man band, go, go, go type of show. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you, kind of give you an idea of how to shoot the show, the stuff you need to carry with you, and how to shoot these different scenes and work around those tricky lighting scenarios. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to chat about any questions you might have about the show. Best of luck to you on your shoot. Enjoy whatever cool location or hotel you get to check out. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go in somewhere warm, and I will see you guys in January.